The house was too quiet. Not in the way an empty room was quiet, but in the way a space wasn't supposed to be. The kind of silence that made your ears strain, your breath sound too loud, your heartbeat feel like a disturbance. She stood at the grand entrance, hesitating. This was ridiculous. It was just a job. The agency had given her the assignment, well-paid, simple work. The man inside was wealthy beyond imagination but unable to care for himself. He needed assistance, and she needed money. No questions asked. A desperate mother didn't have the luxury of second-guessing a good paycheck. So, she lifted her hand and knocked. The door opened on its own. A sharp, mechanical hiss filled the air as it glided inward. No butler. No staff. Just a dimly lit hallway that stretched too far into the house. Her fingers tightened around the strap of her worn-out purse. Something felt off. She had expected a grand entrance, a chandelier, expensive furniture, maybe even a housekeeper to greet her. Instead, the space was too perfect. No dust. No personal touches. Not even a hint of a human presence. And then, she saw him. Standing at the far end of the hallway, just out of the shadows. Tall. Unnaturally still. Watching. Her stomach twisted. She forced herself to step inside. Hello? Her voice barely echoed. Then, without a word, he turned and walked deeper into the house. A chill ran down her spine. What have I walked into? She hesitated but then forced herself to follow. Because this job meant survival. It meant her son could eat, have a roof over his head, maybe even a future. So she followed him down the long, silent corridor. She had no idea that this wasn't just a job. It was the beginning of something impossible. She followed him deeper into the house, her footsteps swallowed by the unnatural silence. The further they went, the stranger everything became. The walls were sleek, too smooth, too polished. The air carried a faint scent of something metallic, almost sterile. No pictures. No personal belongings. No sign that anyone actually lived here. Her grip tightened on her purse strap. The man moved without sound, his posture unnervingly perfect. He didn't glance back to check if she was following. He didn't speak. He just led her down a corridor that felt too long for the size of the house. Finally, he stopped. A door slid open beside him. Not a creak. Not a hinge. Just a seamless movement, as if the wall had simply decided to part. Inside, the bathroom was immaculate. Stark white. A bathtub far too large for one person sat in the center, its edges smooth like carved stone. The room smelled of nothing. Not soap. Not cleaning products. Just emptiness. She turned to face him. He was staring at her, unblinking. "Do you have any preferences, sir?" she asked, keeping her voice steady. He said nothing. Her stomach twisted. Maybe he didn't speak English. No, the agency would have mentioned that. Maybe he was nonverbal. But then how had he requested this service? Before she could say anything else, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, metallic device. He held it between two fingers, almost delicately, then placed it on his throat. A voice came from it. Not his voice. Not anyone's voice. A flat, mechanical tone, "I am ready." She stiffened. The device translated for him? That was strange. High-tech, but strange. She nodded slowly, trying to ignore the unease crawling up her spine. "All right. I'll just get everything set up." She turned away and knelt by the bathtub, running the water. Her hands shook slightly as she adjusted the temperature. Why was she so nervous? This was just a job. A simple, well-paid job. So why did it feel like she was being watched in a way no human had ever watched her before? The sound of water filled the silence, offering her something to focus on. And then, she glanced up. His reflection in the bathroom mirror was wrong. She froze. It wasn't a trick of the light. In the mirror, his features didn't hold. His skin seemed to flicker, like a faulty screen trying to maintain an image. His face, the one she had seen moments ago, was shifting. And in that brief moment, she saw it. Something beneath the surface. Something not human. Her breath caught in her throat. She looked away quickly, pretending not to notice. Pretending she was still just focused on the water. But her heart pounded. She had made a terrible mistake. She never should have come here. She forced herself to keep breathing. To stay still. The water continued to run, a steady, almost deafening noise in the silence. Don't react. Don't let him know you saw. Her fingers gripped the edge of the bathtub as if holding onto something real, something normal. Her mind raced. What did I just see? Was that real? She stole another glance at the mirror. His reflection had stabilized. The same smooth, symmetrical features were back. The too perfect skin. The lifeless stare. If she hadn't just seen it flicker, if she hadn't caught that glimpse of something beneath, she would have thought she imagined it. But she hadn't. Her instincts screamed at her to run. She swallowed hard. She couldn't. Not yet. She still needed this job. She still needed the money. For her son. For survival. Her hands trembled as she reached for the soap. I'll just, start now. No response. Not a nod. Not an acknowledgement. Just silence. She turned off the water and stepped back. You can get in whenever you're ready. Nothing. Then, the metallic device at his throat buzzed. No touching. The words were flat. Cold. She frowned. I'm sorry. Another pause. Then the voice repeated, no touching. Her breath hitched. What kind of rule was that? He had hired her for this job, how was she supposed to do it without touching him? She hesitated, then nodded. All right. No touching. Understood. Slowly, the man moved toward the tub. He stepped in, lowering himself with an eerie fluidity. No struggle. No hesitation. It was unnatural, like he was simply lowering an empty shell into the water. Her skin prickled. She was trained for this. She had bathed patients before, people who needed assistance, people who were fragile, human. But this wasn't that. This was something else entirely. She reached for a cloth, dipped it in the water, and began to work around him. Carefully. Keeping her distance. His eyes never left her. The room was silent except for the faint sound of rippling water. Her nerves were on edge. She needed to stay calm. To act normal. But the unease inside her grew with every passing second. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. She tried to make conversation. So, how long have you lived here? No response. The device didn't even activate. She forced a smile, hoping to ease the tension. It's a beautiful house. Very, modern. Still nothing. But then, just when she was about to give up, the device buzzed. Do you believe humans are fragile? She blinked. Her heart skipped a beat. What? The voice repeated. Do you believe humans are fragile? She swallowed. Depends on what you mean. Silence. Then, do you believe you are fragile? A chill ran through her. What kind of question was that? She forced a laugh, trying to mask her discomfort. I guess everyone is in their own way. She dabbed the cloth across his shoulder, being extra careful not to touch him. But she couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't just making conversation. He was studying her. Testing her. Trying to understand something. Something she didn't want to know. The water rippled as she worked around him, her hands careful, her movements measured. But her heart pounded so hard it felt like it was trying to escape her chest. She kept her eyes on her task, pretending this was normal, pretending she wasn't afraid. "Do you believe you are fragile?" The question lingered in the air, hanging over her like an invisible weight. What did he mean by that? And more importantly, why did he ask? She took a slow, steady breath. "I think we're all fragile in different ways," she said cautiously. The device at his throat hummed. "Different ways?" She swallowed. "Yeah. Physically, sure. We get hurt, we get sick. But people are strong in other ways. Emotionally. Mentally. I think that's what really matters." The words spilled out before she could stop them. Why was she explaining this? Why was she trying to humanize herself to a man who barely spoke? Silence stretched between them. For a moment, she thought he wouldn't respond. That maybe he had lost interest. But then, interesting. That was it. Just one word. And yet, it sent another chill down her spine. She forced herself to focus. Just finish the job. The water sloshed gently as she worked around him, keeping her distance, keeping her hands steady. But with each passing second, the unease inside her grew. The room was too quiet. The house was too still. And the man in the tub, he was too unnatural. She risked another glance at his face. His eyes. Wide open. Unblinking. Not once did they shift away from her. The intensity of his stare made her skin prickle. What is he looking for? She needed to say something, anything, to break the tension. "So, what do you do?" she asked, forcing a casual tone. "For work, I mean." A pause. "Then, I observe." Her fingers clenched around the cloth. "Observe? Observe what?" She hesitated, trying to keep her voice even. "Like, research?" Another pause. Then, with eerie calm, "Adaptation." The way he said it sent ice through her veins. She didn't know why. She didn't even fully understand what he meant. But something about it felt wrong. She nodded slowly, pretending like that answer made perfect sense. "Right. Adaptation. That's cool." Silence. She turned back to the water, dipping the cloth again, willing her hands to stop shaking. "Just a few more minutes. Then I'm done. Then I can leave." But then, she made a mistake. A small one. A simple one. She reached for the soap and, without thinking, she brushed against his arm. The moment her fingers made contact, the world changed. Her breath caught. His skin wasn't skin. It was cold. Not just cold, wrong. Like touching something that wasn't meant to be touched. Something artificial. Something pretending to be alive. Her eyes darted to his face. His expression hadn't changed. But his reflection had. She barely bit back a gasp. In the mirror, his face was flickering again, shifting, distorting, like his form was struggling to hold together. She yanked her hand away. Heart hammering. Mind racing. He's not human. She didn't know what he was. She didn't want to know. She needed to get out. Now. For the first time, she finally understood, this wasn't just a job. It was a mistake. And she might not make it out of this house alive. She yanked her hand back as if she had been burned. But it wasn't heat that had startled her. It was the absence of it. His skin was cold, not like a person, not like flesh. It was smooth, rigid, and lifeless, like stone left out in the freezing night. The moment her fingers had made contact, the air in the room shifted. Something invisible pressed against her chest, like the weight of being watched from all sides at once. Her mind screamed at her to run. But she couldn't. Not yet. Not while his unblinking gaze stayed locked onto her, like he had noticed the mistake too. Like he was waiting to see what she would do next. She swallowed hard, forcing herself to stay calm. Act normal. Pretend nothing happened. She reached for the cloth again, careful, so careful, not to make contact with him this time. But the damage was already done. The man tilted his head slightly, his face eerily blank. Then, the device at his throat buzzed. You felt it. Her breath hitched. It wasn't a question. He knew. Her hands clenched into fists. I don't know what you mean. Another flicker of silence. Then, lying is inefficient. A shiver ran down her spine. The words were emotionless, flat. But there was something beneath them. Something she couldn't name. Something that made the small hairs on the back of her neck stand on end. She needed to get out. Now. Forcing a tight smile, she quickly finished the last bit of work. All done, she said, stepping back. I'll clean up and be on my way. The man didn't respond. He just sat there, watching. The water around him was completely still, as if he hadn't moved a single muscle the entire time. She turned away, her pulse pounding as she grabbed a towel, anything to keep herself from bolting toward the door. She needed to stay composed. She needed to get out of here without making it obvious she had figured something out. Just a few more steps. A few more seconds. Then, a sound. A deep, low humming filled the air. It wasn't coming from him. It was coming from the walls. Her stomach dropped. She spun around. What is that? The man didn't answer. But then, a ripple. Not in the water. In the air. For a fraction of a second, the entire bathroom shifted, distorted, like a glitch in reality. Her breath hitched. Then, the man stood up. The motion was too fast, too smooth, too wrong. Water dripped from his body, but his skin, or whatever it was, remained untouched by it, as if the liquid couldn't fully adhere to him. Her throat went dry. He took a single step forward, and suddenly, the walls of the bathroom seemed to expand. The space stretched, twisted, flickered, no. Not the walls. Her perception. The house wasn't real. None of this was real. And she had just seen beyond the illusion. A choked gasp left her lips as the air around them rippled again, distorting like heatwaves off pavement. She stumbled backward, heart hammering, vision blurring, and then, his voice. Low. Steady. And completely devoid of emotion. You are not meant to see this. Darkness swallowed her whole. She wasn't unconscious. Not exactly. Her body refused to move, her muscles locked in place as if frozen in time. But her mind was awake. Aware. Trapped. She wasn't in the bathroom anymore. She wasn't anywhere. Everything around her was black. A void. No walls. No floor. Just an endless, suffocating emptiness. Panic surged through her, but it was useless. She couldn't breathe faster, couldn't flail, couldn't run. She was stuck. Then, a voice. Not from the device. Not mechanical. His real voice. Soft. Deep. Inhuman. You are resisting. A pulse rippled through the darkness, and suddenly, she could see. Not just the void. Not just him. She saw everything. The house, no, the illusion of the house, peeling away like smoke. Beneath it lay something impossible. A space that was too vast, too endless, too alive. The architecture shifted, morphed, its very existence bending and twisting like it was trying to understand itself. She wasn't inside a house. She was inside something else. A structure? A ship? A mind? She didn't know. But it wasn't human. And neither was he. Her vision snapped back, and suddenly, he was right there. Towering over her. No longer trying to look human. His form flickered, fractured, rebuilt itself in a way that defied all logic. One moment, he was solid. The next, a shifting mass of something unnatural. Not flesh. Not bone. Something else. Something that wasn't supposed to exist in her world. Her breath finally came back in a gasp, her body slamming into motion. She stumbled backward, heart hammering, her mind screaming at her to wake up, escape, run, but there was nowhere to go. The void stretched endlessly. And he was still there. Still watching. She opened her mouth, but her voice cracked. What are you? Silence. Then, observing. Learning. Adapting. The same words. But now she understood. He had been watching her. Studying her. Not for entertainment. Not for cruelty. For understanding. His kind had taken forms, had tried to blend in, but they had never truly felt before. Never understood the meaning of emotion, of existence beyond logic and observation. Until now. Until her. A realization struck her like a thunderclap. She had been chosen. Not randomly. Not because she needed the job. Because she was human. Because she was fragile, but still strong. Because she had emotions, experiences, and something he had never encountered before, choice. He stepped closer. No footsteps. No movement. Just closer. His ever-changing form flickered, and for the first time, she saw something new. Not emptiness. Not cold curiosity. Something else. Something dangerously close to understanding. Emotion. Feeling. His voice came again, softer now. I do not want to return. Her pulse raced. What? Another pause. Then, I have seen too much. The blackness around them rippled, as if the fabric of this reality itself was struggling to hold together. She wasn't sure how, but she felt it. His hesitation. His conflict. He was at a crossroads. A choice. One that had never been offered to him before. And somehow, she was the only one who could help him decide. Her lips parted, a question forming, but before she could speak, the world snapped back into place. And suddenly, she was standing in the bathroom again. The tub. The water. The mirror. The house was exactly as it was before. Like nothing had happened. Except, he was still there. Sitting in the tub. Watching her. Waiting. For her answer. For what came next. And for the first time since she had stepped into this house, she wasn't sure if she was afraid anymore. She stood frozen, gripping the towel in her trembling hands, her breath shallow. Everything looked normal. The bathroom. The tub. The water. But it wasn't. She had seen beyond the illusion. She had seen him. And now, he was waiting. Her mind raced. I should run. I should leave. I should pretend none of this happened. But deep down, she knew she wouldn't. Because something had changed. Not just in him. In her. Slowly, carefully, she placed the towel on the counter. You said you don't want to return. His head tilted slightly. The metallic device at his throat buzzed. Correct. Her fingers curled into fists. Return, where? A pause. Then, to them. Her stomach twisted. Who's them? He didn't answer right away. Instead, the room seemed to shrink around them, pressing inward. Not physically, but perceptually. Like the house itself was reacting to his hesitation. Finally, he spoke. The ones who sent me. She shivered. She had known, deep down, that this wasn't just about him. That whatever he wasn't alone. Others like him existed. Others who had sent him here. To study. To observe. To learn. And now, they were expecting him to come back. But he didn't want to. Her throat went dry. Why not? For the first time, his gaze shifted. Not directly at her. Not away. Just, distant. Then, I have seen too much. Her pulse quickened. This wasn't just about adapting. It wasn't about learning human habits or behaviors. This was about something deeper. Feeling. Understanding. And choice. She swallowed hard. What happens if you don't go back? Silence. A long, heavy pause that made the air thick. Then, his voice came, soft, almost, hesitant. They will come. She stiffened. A cold weight settled in her chest. Come. For him. For her. For both of them. Her mind screamed at her to turn around, to leave, to pretend none of this was real. But she couldn't. Because something told her. If she walked away now, she might never get the chance to walk away again. She took a shaky breath. Then what do we do? For the first time, the flickering beneath his skin stilled. His eyes, those strange, unreadable eyes, met hers. And in that moment, she saw it. A question. A plea. He didn't know. For the first time in his existence, he was uncertain. For the first time, he needed help. And somehow, impossibly, she was the only one who could give it to him. The room felt too small, the air too thick. She gripped the edge of the sink, trying to steady herself, but her legs felt unsteady. They will come. Those words echoed in her mind, chilling her to the bone. Who were they? And more importantly, what would they do when they arrived? She forced herself to meet his gaze. His form had stabilized again, the flickering gone, but now she could see past it. Past the illusion. He was afraid. It wasn't obvious, not in the way humans showed fear. No trembling hands. No widened eyes. Just the way he had paused. The way his usually unreadable expression had something uncertain behind it. He doesn't know what to do. And somehow, she had become the one person in the universe who could help him decide. She took a slow breath. How much time do we have? His head tilted slightly. The metallic device at his throat buzzed. Not long. Her stomach clenched. An hour? A day? A week? A pause. Then, they are already aware. Her pulse pounded in her ears. That wasn't an answer she wanted to hear. She ran a hand through her hair, thinking. Okay. All right. Let's say they come. She hesitated, forcing herself to stay calm. What happens to you? Silence. Then, I will cease. Her breath hitched. What do you mean, cease? His gaze didn't waver. I will no longer exist in this form. A chill ran down her spine. They'll kill you? Another pause. Then, they will correct the error. Her fingers clenched into a fist. You're not an error. For the first time, something shifted in his expression. A flicker of something almost confused. Or maybe curious. She swallowed hard. You've learned. You've changed. You can feel things now, can't you? Silence. Then, softer, yes. Her breath came faster. Then you have a right to live. You're not just an experiment. She hesitated, you're a person. His eyes flickered. Not in the way his form had glitched before. Something new. Something alive. For the first time, she saw it fully. He wasn't just mimicking human behavior. He had become something new. Not human. Not alien. Something in between. A new kind of existence. And his kind wasn't going to allow it. A deep, low hum filled the air. Her heart stopped. Is that, they are here? The room shuddered. Not physically, but reality itself. The air rippled. The space around them twisted, warped. She felt it in her bones, something was watching. No. Not watching. Arriving. She turned to him, panic rising. You said you didn't want to go back. So don't. He studied her, something unreadable in his gaze. The walls flickered. The space around them glitched. She felt the weight of something immense pressing in from all sides. His voice came again, quiet but steady. I cannot stop them. Her jaw clenched. Then let's run. His gaze sharpened. She grabbed his arm, not caring about the coldness anymore, not caring that his form still wasn't fully real. She pulled. And for the first time, he followed. The world ripped apart around them. The world was breaking. Not with fire. Not with destruction. But with something worse, a quiet unraveling. The walls of the house twisted like liquid, the floor stretched in ways that defied gravity. It wasn't a house anymore. It had never been a house. It was a construct, a containment, a prison. And now, it was collapsing. She ran, gripping his arm, dragging him forward. Her mind screamed at her to move, move, move. But where? There were no doors. No windows. Only the shifting void that flickered between reality and something else. A trap closing in. A hum filled the air. Low. Deep. Final. She felt them before she saw them. They weren't figures. They weren't shapes. They were presence. A force that bent the space around them, folding reality in on itself. A voice, not spoken, but pressed into her mind. This unit has failed. The weight of it nearly knocked her to her knees. It wasn't anger. It wasn't disappointment. It was cold precision. A judgment. A sentence. She turned to him. His form was flickering, unstable again. He wasn't resisting. He wasn't running. He was accepting. No, she whispered, shaking him. You don't have to go. His eyes met hers. Something raw. Something unspoken. Then, there is no choice. Her grip tightened. Yes, there is. The presence around them grew. Reality tilted. The entities pressed closer, their collective will forming a command she didn't understand but felt in her bones. They were going to erase him. They weren't going to argue. They weren't going to listen. They were just going to take him back and wipe him clean. Erase everything he had learned. Everything he had become. A surge of defiance exploded in her chest. She wouldn't let that happen. She stepped in front of him, glaring into the formless void. He's not a mistake. No response. A wave of pressure slammed into her. Her vision blurred. Her lungs seized. They weren't trying to hurt her. They just wanted her gone. An obstacle to remove. She gasped, dropping to her knees. The weight was unbearable. It pressed into her skull, into her thoughts, as if they were reaching inside her to erase her too. Then, a hand touched her shoulder. Cold. Unnatural. But real. The pressure lifted. She gasped in air, her vision clearing, and turned to him. His form was stabilizing. Because he had made a choice. For the first time, he was acting on his own will. Not because he was programmed to. Not because he was told to. But because he felt something. Something his kind had never accounted for. He turned toward the entities. And then, he spoke. Not through the device. Not through translation. But in a voice that was both his and something new. I choose to remain. The space around them rippled. A hesitation. A fracture in the absolute certainty of the entity's will. They didn't understand. They had never been denied before. Never been told no.